What's up, girl bosses? Today we have new Defamed. This is Divinities, their latest track. We last heard from them like 4 months ago with their song The Servant, and then 9 months ago they dropped Crystal Prison. So, you know, it's long stretches between songs, but what we've heard has been phenomenal. So I'm very excited to get into this. Before we do, I'd really appreciate if you liked this video, subscribe to the channel. It's free, helps and a ton, helps you find new music. Also, in the description down below, you can find all of my social media links, along with links to my solo project, Sunscourge. You heard one song in the intro, Death is Destined, featuring Alan from Distant. Let's do it, Divinities. I'm expecting more Dark Souls references. Let's go on a fucking quest, man. I like that, like, synth choir layer. That's a good one. Sounds like glitter, I love it. It just sounds magical. They always have those like super bouncy riffs. I just love them. Oh, that's some like Hate Eternal stuff. I like that a lot. Yeah, very death metal there. Yeah, that's a really unique riff. Oh! Really nice slowdown there. It's really hilarious because I feel like a lot of the like those synths and those tones are something that you'd hear from like not black metal, but like sort of more either like death metal synths for like more melodic, more symphonic death metal bands, or a little bit of like folk metal, usually black and folk, like synths or that type of ambience, which is really interesting. It makes a very like sparkly and magical, fun forest experience sound. I really do appreciate that. This is a crazy week because we got Of Sulfur, we got Defamed, we're getting Mental Cruelty. Like this is great because all these bands are also doing like sort of like later generation or later like second or third gen black metal influence versus what has been done before, which is usually like first gen black metal influence. So like what you hear in Lorna, that a lot of that's like Dark Funeral influence. It's really interesting to hear like bands are starting to, you know, it's not everyone just piling on the black and deathcore bandwagon or the black and influence bandwagon, but like people are building off it because like black metal is such a rich genre. There's so much going on there. So like we're now seeing bands that take a lot of like Cradle of Filth influence, some Behemoth influence, Opeth influence. Like it's really awesome to see like the genre start to run away. What's another one? Dimmu Borgir. That's a good one. Yeah, the classics. But yeah, it was really interesting to hear like those synth influences where I'm like, those could be like more like either symphonic black metal in its later generations or even symphonic death metal. It is interesting to see the intersection of that. Those synth elements aren't, those synth and symphonic elements aren't only being taken from black metal, which I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of. There is a lot of like death or symphonic death metal influence going into these songs. Maybe intentionally, unintentionally, I don't know, because black metal and death metal have often been paired quite frequently before. But it is really cool to see. It feels like there is still a lot of opportunity for black and deathcore. So it's not quite yet at its saturation point like some other metal subgenres such as metalcore is. So I'm very excited to see what Defamed drops in like 4 to 5 more months. But you know, it is really cool to, you know, hear the current state of like black and deathcore, and then also knowing there's just like like black metal's been a genre for 40 years that still gets innovated on. Like there are some bands, Dawn of Ashes, that's like a new band, and they have like this sort of industrial black metal fusion, right? So there isn't any core involved in that, but it's still black metal influence. Like it's a genre with a very rich history, at times a very like yikes history, but you know, there's so much diversity within the genre. Like there is so much to explore, and it's very exciting to see bands taking that influence, combining it with their sound, because this is iconically a Defamed song with their bouncy sort of like rolling riffs. Like there's like a nice groove to it that is very signature of Defamed. It's just some great stuff to see, like bands not only taking these influences but modifying them and making them their own. So Defamed does that. Of Sulfur has been doing that. Lorna's been doing that. It's sick, and then they all sound different. So while you have all these black and deathcore bands or black and whatever bands, they all sort of manifest their sounds in crazy different ways. Disembodied Tyrant, they're like a more black and Infinite Annihilator. It's crazy, but there's a lot of, well, I have a lot of hope for the genre. I think it's probably going to be one of the best subgenres in in the metal scene, because just there's so much opportunity there, and it is nice. I know a lot of people have been talking about, oh, metal needs this, and usually what they're referring to is like metal needs to take all these influences that aren't metal. And look, I mean, I think that's cool, but I feel like people forget that the history of metal is so much rooted in you know, being the outsider, listening to the stuff that not everyone likes. So it does feel a little like countercultural to the roots of metal as a genre to just sort of appeal to the mainstream. I much prefer when metal bands take from other subgenres within metal, just because metal is such a rich genre. Like, right, you got thrash, you got doom, you got black metal, you got death metal, you got deathcore, you got hardcore, you got metalcore. Right, there's a lot of diversity. Extreme metal, speed metal. You can get into what the hell is Pantera? They're like glam metal or something, hair metal. There's a lot of opportunity there that I feel like those intersections haven't happened yet, but it's cool because I feel like we're starting to see those happen, mostly with black and deathcore, a little bit in terms of symphonic elements being combined with other bands, but I'm excited. I'm very excited. Curious to hear what you guys think of this song, how it compares to The Servant and Crystal Prison. I think there was another song that was probably like way longer ago, but it's been so long I don't remember what it was called. But curious to hear what you guys think of this track. I love this track. Super sparkly, super glittery. I feel like an elf, a little forest elf. Yeah.